Hi, it's Dwyer. It is April 16th, 2025. GamblersAdvisory.com, a free site. BettingAngle.us, a free site. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Folks, we're looking for casino mispricings, even when it involves future Hall of Famers, guys who were just in the finals last year, very popular teams. Now, right now, if you were to look at the Western Conference, and the Western Conference has a dynamo, right? Oklahoma City historically matches up with some of the better teams in history stat-wise, right? Folks, this could be a historical team. Right? But understand, beneath them, you have a lot of teams in the 49 wins to 50 wins category. And the public is treating these teams as if the higher ranked teams are much better than the teams who don't have home court advantage. So what I want people to do is to look hard at the Lakers right now, right? Their odds to win the NBA championship are 8-1, right? By contrast, A-Rod's team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, are going off at 50-1. You heard right, 50-1 to win the NBA championship. Now, truth be told, both of these teams would have a hard time getting by OKC. But understand, we want leverage. We want to get, an entitlement so that if a team plays OKC, we're on both sides of the play. If OKC stumbles, we're set to cash in big, right? We have a lot of leverage we could give away. I believe the Minnesota Timberwolves are better than the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, the Lakers with LeBron and with Luka and with home court for their playoff series. Let's make the case. First, J.J. Redick is a first-year head coach. This is the playoffs, right? He's not presiding over a juggernaut. Right? Not only that, understand Luka arrived in the middle of the season. Right? I believe J.J. Redick's lack of experience is going to hurt the Lakers. But let's talk about areas where Minnesota has a clear advantage. Folks, I want folks to look at the rebounding numbers. It's not close. Minnesota has Rudy Gobert. Minnesota has Julius Randle. Minnesota has the clear edge in terms of offensive and defensive rebounding. Right? If this becomes a slugfest, Minnesota is going to have the advantage. Let me say this too. It's not close in terms of defensive efficiency. Right? Laker numbers are skewed by the fact that one of the league's best defensive players was there for a few months. Anthony Davis. Folks, he's gone. Where is the size inside for the Los Angeles Lakers? Folks, they don't match up. Understand, inside, Rudy Gobert is a future Hall of Famer. He's won multiple Defensive Player of the Years. He's a shot blocker. Right? Understand, Randall is hard to move off the space. Those two guys are going to dominate the interior defense in this series. Dominated. Let's talk about the offense, because I know people are giddy over LeBron and Luka, who played in the NBA Finals last year together. Right, folks? It doesn't work. Look at Luka's shooting percentage. It's not as high as you think it is. Look at LeBron James's plus minus. Just understand that on a 50-win team, LeBron James just went through the year with a negative plus minus. LA is just not that efficient offensively. They don't have, in my opinion, a clear edge offensively in this series. They're at a deficit defensively. I know that. They don't have the clear offensive edge. Speaking of offense, let's ask a question. Who led the league this year in three-pointers made? Right, 323 pointers. Comes out to roughly 4 threes made a game. Folks, that's the T-Wolves' Anthony Edwards. Understand, it's even more impressive than that. Would it shock you to know that the T-Wolves average 37.3% success on threes? The T-Wolves are a three-point shooting team. Also, look at the bench. Naz Reid, of course, has won a Sixth Man of the Year. He's coming off the Wolves bench. You also have Jaden McDaniels. You also have Mike Conley. Now, Conley gives them something the Lakers don't have. This is the point guard who's excellent from the free throw line, who I can have in the game late. Right? Very low turnover percentage. It's very hard to steal the ball from Conley. And as you go to steal the ball in those desperate moments late in the game and you foul him, Conley is a master at the free throw line. Now, LeBron James gets a lot of assists for the Lakers. LeBron is not a gifted free throw shooter. LeBron doesn't protect the basketball as well as Mike Conley. Right? You add it all together. The rebounding edge, the interior defensive edge, the three-point shooting edge, the bench depth. And then you realize that the Wolves, in terms of splits, are almost as good on the road as they are at home. You can't say that about the Lakers. Right? You can say that about the T-Wolves. Folks, they had practically the same record in the regular season. The public is clueless, right? What are the Lakers doing? Going off at 8-1 while the Wolves are going off at 50-1. The way I'm playing this is I've put some money on the Wolves to win it all. Understand, I don't expect the Wolves to come out of the Western Conference. I'm just exploiting a distorted futures number, hoping that if the Wolves get by the Lakers, I have an endowment 50-1 that will allow me to bet some on the team they're playing in the next round of the playoffs. Right? Let me also say, too, the Wolves are older, right? Guys like Rudy Gobert have been around. Randall has been around. Right? Just think it through here, folks. If they play Houston in the next round of the playoffs, the 2 seed, you're talking about a young, untested team, aren't you? Right? I'm bullish on Houston. Understand, I already have futures action on Houston. I've already talked about Houston in prior videos here online. Houston has delivered by getting the 2 seed. But I will say, I believe KG Vets particularly, KG Vets on a team like Minnesota that has depth. In other words, I'm not going to burn out Rudy Gobert. I can say, hey, Rudy, you know what? We got Naz Reid. We got, Julius Randle. Why don't you sit here on the bench with me? We're ahead in the game. Rest a little bit. Right? KG Vets have that veteran know-how, have that veteran leadership. Right? How many years was Mike Conley a starting point guard in the NBA? And because of their bench, it's possible that Minnesota is going to be somewhat rested. If they can take one of the first 2 games in LA and then hold serve at home, right? LA, not that great on the road. If the Timberwolves can just hold serve at home, they might be able to close out the Lakers in 6 and be rested for the next round of the playoffs. So let me just say, looking at the West, right, you have one dynamo. It's the OKC Thunder, right? You have a major sleeper, the Clippers, right? Just understand, I'm expecting the Clippers to beat Denver, right? Denver, after all, not only fired their GM, as if that's not traumatic enough, they also fired their head coach, right? There's a lot of newness with Denver, right? I think the Clippers beat Denver. I think the T-Wolves beat the Lakers. You're getting spectacular odds on both the Clippers and the T-Wolves, right? That's going to allow you to hedge. You make the money, right? Getting leverage, then being able to have money on both sides of the play. Those are my thoughts. I think the Lakers are in trouble here. Michael Jordan, on a losing team, when he turned 40, had a positive plus-minus. How is LeBron James on a winning team the year he turns 40 with a negative plus-minus? That tells me that something's not working with the Lakers. Let me say, too, how much of the Lakers' scoring is done by Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves? The answer is too much. Right? Single points of failure are a recipe for disaster. I'm concerned about the fact that Shea, for OKC, right, led the league in scoring this year. Now, that worked for Jordan. That's worked for some other teams. One of the secrets with OKC is OKC's defensively blessed. They have a young defensive culture. Right, folks? You don't have a defensive culture with the Lakers. LeBron James, a key part of that scoring triumvirate, right, has a negative plus-minus and is 40 years old. Right? I think the T-Wolves have a more diversified offense, have a much better defense, particularly the interior defense, and have upside offensive volatility because the team hits more than 37.5% of their threes. I like the T-Wolves here. I'm not going to take the T-Wolves just to win the series, because that doesn't give me enough odds. Right? You're going to give me 50-1 on the T-Wolves, a team that I think wins the first round of the playoffs. That's the prop I'm going to take. Why? Because then the next round of the playoffs, I can say, okay, let me give away 40% of this, betting on the team they're playing. I expect the T-Wolves to beat the Lakers. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this YouTube video. Folks, AD's gone. The Lakers are really at a disadvantage against Gobert and Randall. That's crucial. Those are my thoughts. I look forward to yours. Thanks for stopping by.